The creature took on the host's memories, appearance, abilities, everything. It sucks everything dry. Utterly terrifying. Can you not see that if a mimic such as this were to infiltrate a population, it could replicate almost indefinitely? With evil taking the form of an ally, the galaxy could be overthrown. It is truly the worst kind of evil. It has no name, but we call it X. Old Bird. Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart, and this time we're going to be talking about the latest Metroid Dread trailer. It is the Metroid Dread overview trailer, nearly a 5-minute trailer. We're going to be going into it, analyzing it, breaking it down, coming up with some interesting theories here. I have one in particular that I think holds some pretty good water, so we're going to be getting into that. That's going to be the bulk of the conversation this time around. But we'll also be touching on the Metroid Dread Volume 7 report as well. We're not going to be breaking it down entirely like previous videos because there's not really too much new information in my opinion. But there's one thing in particular I want to focus on because I think that will provide some valuable context as we analyze the trailer as well. But anyway, that's the goal for today. That's what we're talking about. But before we jump into things, let me very quickly talk about my social media. You may see a few different things here on screen. You can check that all out. It is linked in the description below. So apart from the Metroid Dread report that I want to talk about is related to the Chozo. I mean, the entire report is about the Chozo, but there's something that they specify that I think is very valuable. So here, they say, you can see multiple living Chozo in the latest trailer, and they go on to specify the different Chozo. There's obviously the Chozo Warrior, the big one that seems to be the antagonist of the story, who we see get his face sort of cracked or his mask cracked during the initial battle to start the game. But then also they specify that there are the Chozo soldiers, and then also the robot Chozo soldiers. So this is important because in the previous report they said there were Chozo soldiers, but they said they were robots. They didn't say that there were also Chozo soldiers that were alive. So there was potentially an implication that there was just the Chozo Warrior and then just robots looking like Chozo, and that's it. But of course we also saw the trailer with the living Chozo, but now it's looking like there's actually a lot of different living Chozo as they stated in this report here. So that's just something that I think is important going in because there are more sort of characters to interact with throughout this story and battle and deal with. So I think that's important. But now let's get into that Dread overview trailer. So I've already seen this a few different times. This is not a reaction, but we're going to kind of watch through it again. I'll talk about some different things and then I'll focus on some pretty important theories, I think. Okay, let's get this trailer started. There is something coming up that I'm going to try and pause on here that I think is kind of important. Right after this, there we go. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this later, but there are different colored Emmy, which we haven't already seen proof of. But this one in particular, I believe, is related to the purple upgrade suit we're going to be getting later on to the game. Maybe it's the gravity suit. Usually there's some sort of gravity suit, purple suit variation in a lot of different Metroid games. We can even see with this Emmy, there's like a little bit of like a purple wisp or gassy energy thing, something. There's some sort of particle in the air by this Emmy. It could potentially be related to some sort of gravity mechanic that could be changing Samus's suit. Notice this is the orange suit, which is not the suit that you have when you start playing the game. Yes, it's the suit that she has when she starts the game, but there's a battle, she loses the suit, it has the blue and white one. Eventually you get the orange and yellow one back, and then eventually, we get the purple suit. I think that after Samus beats this purple Emmy, we will then get that suit, but let's continue on here. Create again, which suggests space pirates. We talked about that before.
Metroid Dread.
I love the narrator, by the way. I love how they try to make it like edgy and classy. It's pretty cool.
Samus Aran.
We've seen most of these shots already, but the game looks great. Like there's a lot of variety with the environments, the visuals. A lot of the organic environments look amazing. Actually, there's this tram here, which is important because exploration, it's suggesting that there's going to be a lot of moving about the map. It's going to be a bigger map than usual.
Which holds many secrets.
They'll show something here.
The planet's surface lies a massive labyrinth of distinct areas.
They use the term massive as an adjective to describe the map. This game is looking to be bigger than before, than previous games.
At Samus's disposal.
I just want to highlight the environment here. Like, it's not just inside actual labs and just space stuff. Like, there's actual, like, outside exotic environments that we've seen that look pretty darn great. So, you know, Metroid Dread is a beautiful game, and I'm very excited to see more of it.
Arm cannon, missiles, her jumping prowess.
Yeah.
New slide.
They just highlighting things we already know about. There's a lot of different abilities for Samus. She has, it's very fluid, many different things that she can do there.
Samus continues to explore. She'll gain additional abilities.
Right. The music gets me so hyped.
Cling to certain walls and ceilings with the spider magnet. Morph into a ball.
I think
to enter
we can
now
move a
battle.
little forward here.
With each the abilities you gain.
Because we've discussed all these things in the past already.
Against enemies, making them
That's a fight with here's an actual fight with what appears to be a Chozo soldier. So not a robot Chozo, but an actual Chozo soldier. So that's some interesting stuff. But these are Chozo robots. There's a clear visual difference here between them. Dread. Okay, now they're gonna be talking about some stuff. Got a white Emmy, right?
Robots called Emmy will track down Samus.
They'll show a few others here, which will sort of validate our theory about the purple one, I believe.
Their bodies are covered with tough armor that regular attacks cannot penetrate. If
They
we
all seem to
capture
have
Samus,
different abilities
she will meet her
that
end.
we're gonna be probably taking from. So like we see,
Hunt down Samus by
they
detecting
chase her throughout the game.
sound she
We
makes.
know that. That's already, it adds to the dread element.
Real
There's a yellow one that has speed, so presumably you get the speed booster from this yellow Emmy or some sort of ability like that.
choose to use Samus's abilities to avoid detection and escape.
That's the one that helps her run really fast.
Different types of Emmy with varying capabilities.
They'll probably show a blue one
lie in
soon.
wait across
And
the
it has
galaxy.
ice abilities. Notice how the enemy turns the ice.
Deadly unknown organisms.
So that's showing off some bosses. There's a weird blue thing. There's Kraid.
Ruins of a long lost civilization litter the planet. And is the mysterious bird-like Chozo figure ally or enemy? What secret truths hide within planet ZDR?
Okay, there's some big stuff right here. So first, they talk about how is the Chozo ally or enemy. That's valuable stuff. But then notice how I paused on this thing right here. This thing right here we're going to talk about briefly, but I think it's a big deal and it's a huge clue as to what could be going on with the story for Metroid Dread. But let's continue here.
Beyond the mission, beyond the
There's another thing I want to point out. It's big, actually. You know, I'm going to put a screenshot here just so you can see what I'm talking about. But basically, you can see that this is a Chozo Warrior, but it doesn't look like a bird person under that armor, does it? But let's just finish off the trailer here.
What true terror lies in wait?
We don't know. What is a true terror? Trying to figure it out. They're just showing off a lot more of the game here. We've seen all this stuff. They're another Chozo Warrior that doesn't look quite like a Chozo Warrior. More of Samus's abilities that we've already seen already. The beautiful ice environment. Chozo robot. Chozo everything, really. Kraid breaking out. That's crazy. This is going to be an awesome boss fight when we get to it.
Metroid Dread. Plus, a Metroid Dread.
Alright, so this stuff isn't that important. They talk about the amiibo and things like that and this collector stuff. That's all sort of known information. Nothing too crazy or new there. But there are several things they show off in the trailer that I think are really valuable. So first off, they show varying different Emmy, and each of the Emmys seem to have different abilities. We saw the yellow one, which seems to have the speed boosting ability. We saw a light blue one, which seems to have the ability to freeze things. Maybe that's where we get our ice missiles. There's almost always ice missiles in almost every single Metroid game. So I think that seems like a pretty fair, likely bet. You beat an enemy, it has a certain power, you get that power. We've seen that in a lot of different Metroid games. It's a common Metroid trope. They even show the purple one, and when Samus is fighting the purple one, she has her orange suit, but later on into the game, she has the purple one. So I believe that you will get the purple suit from that purple Emmy. Maybe it's a gravity suit. We don't know entirely what its powers are, but I feel like I'm probably on the right track here. But on the note of tracks, we do see a train that Samus gets on. Now, what's interesting about this is that it's a form of transportation. It may not be too different from what we've seen in previous Metroid games with elevators and such, but this train or tram will likely take you to a completely different side of the map. And I think that is very interesting because it sort of highlights this idea of Metroid Dread being a larger game than previous Metroid games, which is also not a crazy expectation, I would say, because this is on more advanced hardware. It's a bigger, more advanced team, bigger budget, more ambition here. Metroid Dread I expect to be a larger game than previous 2D Metroid games. Now, throughout this trailer, we do see more gameplay, we do see more environments, and it's nothing really groundbreaking here because we've seen a lot of this stuff already. We've seen all the different gameplay elements they've shown off in previous reports, but it's nice to see there's so many different power-ups and abilities Samus has. It's really going to add to the gameplay. It's going to feel fluid and fast, and then she's going to feel strong and powerful, which makes sense because this Samus is the most experienced, most mature Samus yet. So if you think of that in that way, this should be the most powerful, most capable Samus yet. And from everything we're seeing of the moveset, that appears to be the case. And then from a visual perspective, we're seeing a lot of variety with the environments. I'm really appreciating a lot of the organic environments here. They are looking pretty nice, very nicely animated. This is looking to be a very visually pleasing game, and there's gonna be a lot of variety to the environments, which has been somewhat of an issue in previous Metroid games. Depending on the Metroid game, sometimes they just take place on a space station, and while those space stations may have biomes to change around the setting a little bit, this is an actual planet which has labs and such, but also actual organic environments with different actual climates, and that is nice because there's gonna be a lot of variety to the world we're gonna be exploring. But now let's dive into the big thing, and that is the Chozo and the potential relation to what I believe is the X-Parasite. So, the Chozo. We see multiple Chozo. It is confirmed that there is a Chozo Warrior, but there's also the Chozo soldiers that are also Chozo, apparently, but there's also the robot Chozo, which aren't Chozo, they're just Chozo technology. And presumably there's also this other Chozo that isn't clad in any sort of battle armor at all. Potentially it could be the Chozo Warrior or another Chozo soldier that we see that is just clad in armor during those points. But this Chozo appears to be more of the peaceful kind. In the cutscenes it seems to be almost at least diplomatic. And it's interesting because they do on multiple occasions in the different reports and in their trailer raise the question, are these Chozo enemies or allies? Now, what's important about this, in case you don't understand the history of the Chozo aren't a evil alien race from the history and the lore. They are a peaceful race that have helped to protect the overall peace of the galaxy, and they help to raise Samus. They are the ones who endowed Samus with her powers and her power suit. They are Samus's history. So to then see Chozo attacking Samus when they were thought to have been dead or extinct already, there's certainly a lot of interesting story elements there. One, it's just unexpected, but also two, how does this impact Samus? Because they are Samus's background. Why are they attacking Samus? There's something different that's going on there. You would think that Chozo would respect Samus, or maybe there's simply different Chozo that didn't even know about Samus. But Samus is a pretty well-known character throughout the universe, in the Metroid universe, so it would be weird if they did not know what's going on. Which kind of brings me to the X-Parasite. So the big mission for the Chozo was to get rid of the X-Parasite before they supposedly went extinct, which is why they created the Metroid, which apparently is also extinct in Metroid Dread. But the premise or the inciting incident for Metroid Dread is that supposedly there are some X-Parasites on planet ZDR, which is why the Emmy were sent there, then something happened to the Emmy, Samus goes there, and then she finds the Chozo. So what's going on there? Well, when you think about it, the Chozo, their mission, their supposed last mission, was to exterminate the X-Parasites. If the Metros are extinct and the X-Parasite is still around, maybe remaining Chozo would go to a planet where there are X-Parasites to try and get rid of them. But as teased in the opening dialogue for this video from the Metroid manga, which isn't necessarily canon, but it still highlights the point, The X-Parasite is very dangerous for the galaxy. The X-Parasite is not to be taken lightly. It is the main threat in the Metroid universe. It is the most dangerous thing in the Metroid universe. It threatens the entire galactic population. So I do think all of these elements are important in considering what's going on with the Chozo here and why they're going at Samus. So the Emmy went to planet ZDR to find information on the X-Parasites, but now they are attacking Samus, who is working for the Galactic Federation. The Emmy are from the Galactic Federation. What's going on there? There could be some sort of betrayal potentially, but it also could be possible that the Emmy were simply hijacked or hacked by potentially the Chozo. But why are the Chozo hacking the Emmy and having them attack Samus? They should care about Samus. Well, it's possible there are two different sides of the Chozo. There is an evil, militaristic Chozo that are still alive and around, and there's the old wise Chozo that are mostly extinct, except maybe for one or two in this game. But what if there's something even darker going on here? What if the Chozo aren't even evil? What if these Chozo are attacking Samus for another reason? What if these Chozo aren't even alive? What if these Chozo are actually just the X-Parasite? So why do I say that? Why do I suggest that maybe these Chozo are the X-Parasite? Well, the X-Parasite has the ability to do something like that. They can consume and replicate different creatures, not just their form and appearance, but their memories and powers as well. So they could conceivably kill off the Chozo that are still on planet ZDR, replicate them, have their power and knowledge, and do crazy things like hack the Emmy and have them try and take out Samus while she's there to probably exterminate the X-Parasite. The X-Parasite, while it doesn't seem to have a normal conscious mind, it does have a certain intelligence or instinct to fight back and do things that seem to be quite planned out. We saw in Metroid Fusion there were some very interesting things that SAX did, which is the X-Parasite that took some of Samus's armor and became basically a Samus clone that was quite a threat. So conceivably we could see some similar things happening with the Chozo soldiers and this Chozo Warrior. And on the note of the Chozo Warrior, there's this emphasis on this mask, because during the initial fight, Samus actually cracks the mask and we see something dark behind there and this glowing red eye. Glowing red eyes. There's something there. There's something being teased to that form. There's something mysterious about it, right? That's obviously what they're going for here. But as I brought up earlier when we were looking through the trailer, there are shots that show Chozo warriors that we now know aren't necessarily robots that don't look like Chozo. Like, they have the Chozo form, but then they break apart and inside them there's this organic black goopy kind of thing. There's something really weird and disgusting and not really healthy looking about it. They don't look like healthy Chozo. They don't even really seem like Chozo. They just seem like something taking the form of a Chozo. Kind of like the X-Parasite. And now I want to go back to that weird dark looking enemy we saw earlier. That enemy, in my opinion, is another variant of Corpius, the first boss we fight in Metroid Dread, as we saw in the E3 Treehouse footage. Notice how the eyes are of the same kind. The form is similar, but it's lesser in weight, it's darker, and the eyes are red. Similar to the Chozo Warrior. What if the X-Parasite has taken over and replicated these different creatures or beings throughout the story? Now you might say, hold up, that's not possible. Samus completely obliterated Corpius from existence. Well, let's go back and look at that footage. Yeah, Samus gets the cloaking ability and Corpius seems to just evaporate into the air. But, as we've seen in Metroid Fusion, X-Parasites from seemingly nothing can bring together a creature from the past. So there could be microscopic pieces of Corpius lying somewhere and they can take that information, replicate it through the DNA, and create something even darker and more gruesome, as we seem to be sort of seeing here in the trailer. And given its darkness, and given the red eyes, it does seem to sort of match up with the darkness and the red eyes of the Chozo Warrior as well. So if that's the case, that would then answer the question as to why the Chozo are attacking Samus. It's because they are not the Chozo. They are the X-Parasite, a darker, more gruesome version of the X-Parasite, or at least that seems to be the way they're being portrayed in Metroid Dread. Now, it's possible that this X-Parasite hasn't entirely consumed this Chozo Warrior. Maybe it's a bit of a ongoing battle where the parasite is trying to fully consume the thoughts of this creature, but it hasn't been entirely demolished yet, and the Chozo is fighting back somewhat, so maybe there's some level of consciousness still there. Potentially, we don't know. There is a lot of emphasis on this character, and there seems to be a sort of story behind there that seems to be more than just, hey, I'm an evil bad guy and I'm going to kill you. But anyway, that's what I'm sort of seeing right now from the information that's being presented in the overview trailer and the Dread report. It's looking like there's something wrong with these Chozo. They're not normal Chozo, and there seems to be something going on with red eyes and dark, not healthy looking creatures. I think that's strongly related to the X-Parasite. It is the reason you go to Planet ZDR. Maybe the X-Parasite has evolved and it's not quite the same it was in Fusion. Perhaps it's worse, hence why we're seeing this weird black goopiness and the red eyes. But that also could just be an aesthetic choice for this particular game. But what do you guys think is going on with Metroid Dread? Do you think I'm on the right track here with the X-Parasites and what's going on with these different boss enemies and the Chozo? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, everyone, this is On Just Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.